Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. And I just heard that one airline is not going to say that anymore. They don't want to be something. And so they won't say ladies and gentlemen. I guess they're going to say everyone. Well, everyone indeed. But ladies and gentlemen, we're kind of old school about those kind of things. Today, I'd like to take a few minutes on this Thursday to kind of complement what I talked about yesterday and about connecting every day. And it's all about, and here's the title of the program. It is Two Tales and a Tear Over the Table. And it's a story, a very moving story of a friend and a client of mine, and I think you'll gain some real insight from it. And I think it might even, as I say, perhaps stir your mind, maybe move your spirit, and maybe even touch your heart. So please stay tuned for Two Tales, a Tear Over the Table. That's the program. It begins right now. Yesterday, as per my suggestion, and you say, well, who are you? Hey, this is Stan Houston of the Master Entrepreneur, one of the founders, co-founders, and leader of the Christian Entrepreneur Network. And we also help you get on the radio with a subsidiary program called What It Takes Radio. And just yesterday, I helped a gentleman who is putting his old career, it will come to an end as he, quote, retires, and he's going to do what he loves to do. And it's a song, it's a story time, and he's going to be on the radio. And we're setting him up so that he will actually do what I'm doing, reach hundreds, maybe thousands of people all around the world with his storytelling, his music, and hopefully make a difference in the world. And as he said, finally, I will be doing fully what I love to do. And that's something I want for you too. RadioEdge77@gmail.com. RadioEdge77@gmail.com. I'm a longtime business performance coach, and I'm very confident that I can ask the question, how can I help you? And I will be able to help you. In your life, your business, your marketing, your leadership, we've got a ways to do that after many, many years of experience. And if you want to become a master communicator as well as a master entrepreneur, many, many, many years of helping people in their writing, their public speaking, their performing, their video teaching, and their online broadcasting just like that. And literally all over the world, we can help you. Again, my name is Stan. I'm the man who can help you build your business, become more fully alive, and make your mark in the marketplace. Again, RadioEdge77@gmail.com. And tell me how I can help you. And I will respond, and I will help you. I can guarantee that in some ways I can do just that. And if I can't help you personally, specifically, I can direct you to people who can do just that. Hey, I want to tell you a story today, all right? And the story connects to the insight that came to me while I was just thinking and praying about life and what to do, and then I remembered the story of my friend John. And so, if I can, I'm going to tell you the story of John. That's his real name, but I will do nothing more to kind of reveal to you who he might be. John will know, because he'll know the story, if he happens to listen, and I think he might. Here it goes. I met John because I was introduced to him. I was recommended to him by one of my top clients who was very pleased with the work I was doing. And they had worked together in a variety of ways. They were both involved in the financial services industry. And their partnership was collegial as well as just simply personal, as they were community leaders in the small city where they both were independent, entrepreneurial businessmen. And so John and I began to talk. And he decided that he would ask me to be a part of his consulting coaching service. And one time he invited me, he said, let's meet at the club. And the club is a place which was very well known in that small city as a place where people gathered, oftentimes business people, a number of civic groups would meet there. And it wasn't a country club, but it had somewhat that club, you had to join the club. It wasn't terribly exclusive, but of course they insisted that people maintain some very proper standards. It was a long-time community club, and it was a bit old school, to say the least, but very nice and very comfortable. And I met for breakfast in the little breakfast room, and John was there, and it turns out he was already there. And so I went to the table where he was at, which was a nice little corner table by a window. And we started to greet each other, and he said, can I tell you a little bit about this table? I said, sure. And I knew a little bit of his background, that John's father had been a very significant businessman in the community many years ago, had been one of the real leaders of the community, and had a going and growing business. And he said, Stan, I think you know a little bit about my father's business and how important it was. And this was his table. You see, every morning after he left to go to work, he didn't go to work. He and his partner would meet every morning for breakfast at this place, at this table, every day. And they would talk about, obviously, the things of the business that they were going to address that day. And so they would spend a little time, a little bit of a friendship and fellowship, because that's the mark of a good partnership. And enjoy a good breakfast, greet many people in the community who would come, and obviously was a part of a networking and friendship circle that came for breakfast at the club. And after making some of the plans, they would depart, and they would then meet at the office, ready to go, even before the staff and the employees arrived. And he said they did that all the time. As far as I remember, it was almost every day that the two partners would connect and talk with each other and work with each other and work things out. And it didn't take place in the office. It took place as gentlemen in a place where they had to conduct themselves as gentlemen. And they did. He said they were very old school. They were quite old-fashioned, but so they were. And that was the story. And then John, of course, said, well, you know what happened. And what happened is because of a major industry shutdown as to they had been suppliers to this industry, John, who had just kind of taken over his father's business, struggled to keep that business going, but it didn't make it. The industry collapsed. They were one of the primary vendors, and as a result, John lost, or at least was partly there. He usually said fully there, when the business had to be dissolved. Very, very sad. But John was a good guy, and what he did is he picked himself up and he started his own business and got a new partner, and it was in a very different business. Like I said, it was in the financial services. And he worked very, very hard to learn all of that and to become a community leader. And he had built a new business and was trying to make it go. And I was going to then help him with some of the things that would make this a more successful and better operation. And that was how our friendship continued. And we did some really good things together. We became not only a client and coach, but good friends. We had so much in common in terms of our life and our spirit and our values. Is a perfect thing. And I saw John grow in his understanding and the way he held and his business and how he worked with his clients and customers, and he improved. He says, I'm a much better leader because of you. And I can trust you fully. I know that you're as good as my priest, maybe even better. I can tell you, and I know it's in perfect confidence. So that's what happened. One day we met for breakfast at another time, right there at the table. And I said, John, I'd like to tell you something. And he said, okay, what is it? And I said, John, of course I know your story. And now I know the wonderful story behind sitting at this old table here in this old club, that's where your father and his partner met. And I know that obviously as a result of some of the things that happened, that was very difficult for you. But John, I want to tell you this. If your father were here, and I believe he might in some ways be here, your father would be very, very proud of you and what you have achieved and what you have done. And there was just that, a deep silence. He looked at me, and he was a tough old guy. We were all old. A tear came to his eye, and he said, thank you. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you. And that's all that was ever said. Ever again. And I want to tell you that story because it meant a number of things to me that has helped me. One of the things I have discovered is the fact that so many people today who run and give leadership to business, they text and they email and they do all of that other stuff, but they don't talk and they don't meet. And what I'm discovering is that the men and women I want to work with and the men and women I want to coach, we are in touch. Physically, if we can, emotionally and spiritually for sure, and certainly in some kind of media way, we talk. And we talk to each other and we tell each other our thoughts and concerns, our hopes and dreams, our frustrations and aspirations, and we talk and we do it every day. If you're good at what you do, whether it's pastoring a church or being a professional golfer, you do it almost every day in some way. That's my story, and I'm sticking by it. There we go. As the master entrepreneur said, let him who has ears, let him hear. And so I will leave it up to you. You've heard my story, and now you know what it means, perhaps, to you. And I would be grateful if you tell me what it might mean to you. And if there's a way that I can help be what I was to John and his company and the success that he enjoyed, I would be grateful for that opportunity. And I'm confident that I can do it just as well for you as I did it for John. And I'll do what I always did for John. Best and blessings to you. And may it go well with you. And that's the same for you. And bye for now.